Do you regret the bad behaviour, or do you accept that it was...
No, because I learned from it. No,
yeah.
The bad behaviour I regret was when, I was doing drugs and alcohol, and I couldn't remember the bad behaviour because I got up the next day and Bernie Taupin, my lyricist, would ring me up and said, "I'm never coming out with you again if you did what you did last night." And I said, "What did I do?" He said, "You don't remember?" And I said, "No, I don't, because, you drank so much that I couldn't remember. It's called a blackout."
Were there any people in your life through the worst period who could say, "Oh, just stop that," or "shut up"?
Everyone who loved me. Everyone.
Did you listen to any of them?
No, I told them to bugger off. In fact, they wrote me letters saying, for Christ's sake, stop putting that bloody stuff up your nose. And I wouldn't speak to them for a year. It's like, how dare you? It's that when you're confronted by people who tell you the truth and you know you're being an asshole, and I knew I was being an asshole, it's like even worse. So you think, right, I'm not talking to you because I know I'm an asshole, so I don't need you to tell me.
I mean, the only addiction that you have continued with, it seems to
spending.
be... Is spending.
Yes.
Tell me about your relationship with money.
There's no getting away from it. It's fun to have money.
Could you go back to being poor?
Listen, I said to David, I would live with you in a caravan as long as I had you. I could do that.
I thought it'd have to be a gold caravan, wouldn't it?
No, I wouldn't.
No?
No, I'm not that facile. I'm not that shallow.
But you really believe you could do that?
Yes,
You'd give it all up and...
Yeah, I could. I mean, I think about it sometimes. I think, it'd be nice just to bugger off and buy a little house somewhere and just, have a simple life. But I'm too far gone in now. You can't run away like that. But it does cross your mind sometimes when you feel a bit overwhelmed. But, I'm not that shallow and I'm not facile. If I had David in my life and my friends, I could live anywhere. I'm just very, very fortunate. I have a career that's not going away, so I'm very comfortable with where I am with my spending. I buy really beautiful things that turn into a profit.
What's the most you spent in a single day on a spree?
On a spree? I bought a photograph for $1 million. And that was, a photograph.
Must have been a bloody good picture.
It was a Man Ray. And I've been collecting photography now since 1991, and David and I have probably the biggest private collection of photography, and I'm very serious about it. I don't talk about it much.
You see, that kind of investment, I get it. It's like great cars or great houses, great art, great photographs. They're an investment. I'm talking about the day you went to Versace and apparently spent over £250,000 in one spree.
I have no guilt, Piers. I own the money. I pay my taxes. I've never lived anywhere else but Britain. I can do what if I want to buy.
That is true. I mean, you do pay taxes.
Why can't I? It goes back into the economy. What's the problem? What is the problem?
What's the single item you've bought in your life that's brought you the most happiness?
Vibrator, definitely. A gold one. A gold one. This is how bleak it was. I lost all my friends. My mother left the country. And I look back, I shudder at the behaviour and what I was doing to myself.
You've always had a lot to say. You're a very opinionated guy. Yeah. You're not afraid to shoot your mouth off if you feel like it. You recently ruffled Simon Cowell's feathers by describing the X Factor as brain-crippling and boring. Why did you wade in on that?
I can't watch those kind of shows. I find it very disturbing for me, for the artist's point of view. I'm totally on the artist's side. Anybody who appears on the show, whether they got not much talent or not, if they win it, I wonder what's going to become of them. Are they just fodder for 2 years until the next Leona Lewis comes on, or the next Alexandra Burke? Why aren't they going on tour? What's happening? They just can't survive, I know, economically by making records. It's the cart before the horse. When I got a record contract in the old days, you had to go on tour to get a record contract. You had to be good live. And now it's like you can be on television and sing well, but you have no real experience with doing shows. And the thing that really prepares you to be an artist, and an artist who has a long life, a long shelf life, is by doing those 5 or 6 years, what I did when I left school and had a professional band and backed a lot of American stars, and played the toilets, drove up the M1 in a van. That gave me all the experience I needed, that when I did make it in Los Angeles in 1970, I was ready. I was experienced enough to know what I was doing.
But when you see an artist like Leona Lewis, for example, who has been #1 in America, where they don't even have X Factor yet, so it wasn't down to the power of the TV show. But doesn't part of you like the sort of the magic of taking ordinary people, like Leona, who was a secretary, like
I'm not blaming
and they
Leona
have their
Lewis.
moment. I mean,
I'm not against them. I'm all for them.
But you're against the
I get
system
concerned about them.
Right.
That's my point. What's going to happen? Because those kind of shows just throw up people all the time.
Yes, but isn't the music industry exactly the same? People get dropped all the time like that.
It is now. It never used to be. Nowadays, if an artist hasn't made it by their second album, they get dropped. I mean, my first album was Empty Sky. It wasn't a hit. I was allowed to make a very, very expensive album in those days called Elton John, which had your song on it, became a hit. But these days, after Empty Sky, I wouldn't have been signed for the Elton John record. In the early, people cared about music. You had great people running record companies. You had great record people in Britain and America. Nowadays, you have cowboys.
Strong words. You're going to be singing a couple of songs for us later, your piano, which I understand you call Nina.
I've got many pianos that I call things.
But
One's called
Nina's...
Winifred, this one's called Nina, Winifred Atwell, Diana after Diana Krall, and one called Aretha after Aretha Franklin.
Really?
Yeah. I don't have one called Mrs. Mills. Not yet, anyway.
What people may not know is that you began playing the piano when you were just 3 years old.
Yeah, I played by ear, and I grew up in a house full of women. My mother, my grandmother, and my auntie, and they all loved music.
There you are.
Oh.
A sweet little chap.
You didn't know that I just shit myself about
Were you naturally gifted, do you think?
I think I was naturally gifted, yeah. I had a gift for playing by ear. I could pick things up very quickly. I was surrounded by music all the time, and then when I got to about 7 years of age, my parents made me have piano lessons, and that was a very good and clever thing of them to do, because it gave me another insight, which I was very grateful for. It meant I went to the Royal Academy when I was 11 to 15.
You once said about your hands that they're not classic pianist hands.
Chipolata fingers, I call myself. I can just get over one octave, but they're not pianist hands. That's why I was never going to be a classical pianist. Nor did I want to be, but, you know, to be a wonderful classical pianist, you really do have to have long fingers.
Could you have been one if you put your mind to it?
No. And I wouldn't want to be. I wanted... As soon as I heard Jerry Lee Lewis and Little Richard, that's all I wanted to play like.
Did your parents encourage you? Music?
My mum did, absolutely, of course. My dad was a bit snobbish about rock and roll, didn't like it very much.
Well, he was an RAF man, right? So
yeah, but he was in a big band. He played with Bob Miller and the Millermen. But rock and roll was really... it was a revolutionary thing. When Elvis Presley came out, and my mum came back with Heartbreak Hotel, that changed her life and it changed my life, because it was like, what is this?
At 14, you began performing in local pubs.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Terrifying. I was in the public bar at the Northwood Hills Hotel, situated, thank God, by the window, so that when fights broke out, I could just dive through the window. You'd be in the middle of April Showers by Al Jolson, and suddenly a beer bottle would come straight over it. And I played, you know, all the My Old Man Said Follow the Band, all the old Cockney songs, Al Jolson songs, and then I started to sing. I got a microphone and an amp, and I started to sing as well.
As you got going in the music and began performing and everything else, your mum was supportive, but your dad began to really not like this. He wanted to be a bank manager and...
Or join the Air Force. You know, he probably thought rock and roll, it's, you know... when it did start, it was deemed to be outrageous. I mean, it's, you know, God almighty, you know. God almighty, it was the 50s. And so when rock and roll came in, my dad thought, you know, this is not the job for my boy. I wanted to have security. So he was looking at me from a fatherly point of view, saying, well, this is all very well and good, but, you know, this is never... Rock and roll was never going to last, right? Never going to last. It's always got to give it 2 or 3 years. When my parents got divorced, my dad used to write to my mum and say, I'm very worried about Reg. He's becoming a wide boy and he's got no future doing this kind of thing. And, you know, get all those dreams of rock and roll out of his head. He's never going to make it. And, you know, and my mum still got the letters. So,
really?
You know, he's never going to make it. So, yes! But the thing is, when I did make it, my dad never came to see me. Never came to see me play.
And how did you feel about that?
I was crushed. There was never a closeness between us, and it wasn't his fault or my fault. It was just not... We just weren't meant to be together, really. And that happened, and as I've got older, I've become much more comfortable with it.
Do you think he loved you? Or did you feel there was something
I think
missing?
he may have loved me in his own way. He never told